The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board meeting, October 22nd, 2019.
Can I call it to order?
I'd like to call a meeting to order. White Pine Tour and Rec Board meeting, October 22nd, 2019. Please join us for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is public comment. Public comment will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per person. Anyone interested in? Cheryl?
Hi. I just wanted to come and thank you guys again for the money that you donated for the building down there. We have no more pigeons in our roost. And at this point, we have an architect and an engineer that have been going through and working on everything. And we have a new report from them, and we're moving forward past the serious things to do in White Pine County, you know. 3 steps forward, 2 back. But it's working really well. We just really appreciate your help and concern, and we will try and keep you posted on what's going on as we go along, so you've got an idea of what our timelines are and everything as soon as we know what we want. So anyway, we really appreciate your help. Thank you.
Anyone else? George?
I know, I'm kind of thinking we should just kill it and just say one line. So let's just hit the big fan. There we go.
Thank you.
And then if Brian was calling in.
Just hit the phone again.
He can text you.
Okay.
I know.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, the money, $4,300 that was given to the community choir for pigeon control needs to come back to this board. NRS forbids you from supporting the private business. That building is not a public building. They do not meet the minimum ADA requirements for the handicapped. They have stated they have a 501c status. Again, where's the proof? And what is the date that it was granted? This is months old, if not years. No eyeballs, please. I need an answer. You know what I mean?
Can I answer, George?
No, you may not.
George, go talk to Harry Ray and he can give you all that
All you gotta
information.
do is show this board they can't support a private business. That's all I'm asking. If it's a 501, fine. But if it isn't, can't do that. Other than that, you're gonna have everybody in this community coming before you for money. That's not your mission. Your mission is for tourism, not to promote private buildings, period. Madam Chairman, I see by your minutes of June 25th year to grant another $13,000, which you did. That needs to come back also. Again, I feel for those people as well as others in this community that are struggling. They need to go to a different source of funding. They do not qualify in any shape or form. They're a private club. If you look at the front of the building, that sign says no trespassing, no soliciting. You can't have it both ways. A private business, a private club. It's not open to the public. No ADA access. Madam Chairman, with all the money that this board has spent or given to the golf course, I've asked in the past and I'm asking again, what is the increase in play over the last 3 years, if any? I've not heard or seen any of the reports at these meetings. Madam Chairman, of the Airbnbs identified to date, how many of them paid room tax and what was the amount? I've not received anything there. Madam Chairman, as this board sent out letters to the owners of the Airbnbs notifying them of the proper licensing needed? No answer there. If so, I would like a copy of those letters sent out. Nothing received yet. Months ago, I asked the former member, City Councilwoman Jolene Gardner, a member of this board, if she had addressed proper licensing with the city. I did not receive anything to that effect. Did this board receive any information from her? Months, we're going years. Some of the information should include if they've requested a zone change, a variance, home occupation, state business license, county license, city license, and/or a room tax license. One or any of those should be completed. In particular, if they're conducting a commercial venture in a residential zone. In attending Ely City Council and Planning Commission meetings, White Pine County Commission meetings, I've not seen any applications to date. This board's concern is that the lawbreakers are running by the day or week and not a dime is being collected for room tax. Have you issued a room tax license to any of them since the last time I've been before you? If so, I'd like a copy. Madam Chairman, in talking to a member of this board, I was told that two Airbnbs located in the city had business license according to Julie Spear from the City Hall. I asked for the names of those licensed businesses or Airbnbs, but no information has been provided. I told that person that I would ask the same question at the next Tour and Rec Board meeting. That being said, who's licensed?
The Big Four, that's the only one that's up on Airbnb that is paying room tax.
They can't have an Airbnb there, that's a red light district. You can't put an ice cream shop in there. You can't, it's restricted strictly to that particular kind of business. Madam Chairman, I've not received any information in regards to Mr. Spear, who is a contractor with the Tour and Rec Board. Again, I wanna know, does he have a state business license, city business license, commercial location, or home occupation? You can't draw that kind of money from this board, being a private contractor, and not play the same rules as any other business person in this community. That's all I have for now, madam.
Thank you.
Oh, I asked in the past what the debt was on the railroad. They get quite a bit of money from you folks, they're borrowing, but we don't know how the money's being spent, and we need to know. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go on to item number 2, new business. Item 1, discussion and for possible action, approval of agenda, including removal of agenda items. Any changes?
I move that we accept the agenda as posted.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Item 2, discussion and for possible action, approval of minutes for September 24th, 2019 regular meeting.
Are they in here?
Yes.
I don't see any significant issues.
You say you don't see any issues, or you didn't see the
No, I don't
minutes?
see anything.
Okay.
I don't have a minute.
Our
You
secretary's
want-
pretty good
you
at
wanna
her job.
see that?
I'll just get a copy when you're finished.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I said aye too, I'm sorry. Okay, item 3, discussion only, review of the financial report.
All right. So, am I missing?
It's in there.
I don't think it's in mine, I think I got it.
You want this one? You want-
Thanks, Judy. Okay, so let's go through the room tax collected. I know I had it at some point in time, so. So in the room tax collected, we pretty much had 2 properties that did not report, and so that will be added into the next month. But the tax collected for the hotels motels was $176,776.96. For the RV parks and campgrounds, that was $14,254.67 for a total collected of $191,031.63. And how that breaks down is the railroad received about $28,300.98 for their contribution. What we have, the city of Ely at $30,689.31, but you'll see there's a breakout right now for White Pine County for both the pool and the golf course. This is the last month that it's being reported as separate, just because that was, we went ahead and reported that and cut 2 separate checks to the county on their end. They're both going into the golf course. But I remember there was some additional verbiage that needed to be put into their motion to dedicate that 1% from the pool over to the golf course. So that didn't have anything to do with the way it was reported this way. It was more just an oversight. But with talking with Elizabeth, both of those total will go to the golf course, and they'll be reported as a singular item. So Tour and Rec received about $121,110.60 to its budget this month. You can go ahead and see on the actuals for the room tax comparison, what it shows compared to this time last year, we're up 7.1%. So for a month like August, where we're pretty much maxed out anyway, you don't expect to see a whole heck of a lot of growth. But for September, when it starts going into the shoulder season, it's nice to see, you know, such large growth over last year. The next report is the 8% room tax comparison, which, you know, while we're still gonna go ahead and finish this one off, I feel like it's a little bit more obsolete than the one we just went over, because it's not comparing the actuals, it's just comparing since 2012.
So that, this, right here, page 2 pile then reflects the 1% extra from the county.
Correct. So this will be the actual. So in all honesty, Caroline, it's a good observation that the 7% that was collected, it includes that additional room tax increase that the county had made.
Would that be possible to kind of pull that out or something, just to send us what that actually is, that increase?
Absolutely.
Good idea.
I mean, so what it came out to, where'd my report go?
5624.
Yeah.
But where we've got the delineation of the Red Sea on all of those things, it's hard to pull them out and kind of look at it. So,
right.
But just as be interesting to look at.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So when we go into our budget, pretty much looking after the end of the first quarter, most of our stuff that's not annual subscriptions or all paid up at once are at that 33% or less. You know, this time of year, the spending gets a little bit more conservative, you know, just because things are kind of winding down and you're assessing like what the next step is gonna be. So, you know, we're looking really good on budget, and essentially Fire and Ice in January, Rotary Fishing Derby, all of that stuff, we're gonna have everything dialed in, you know, during the holidays to go ahead and start promoting that stuff in January, and we'll have our videos up and everything like that. So you will see stuff kind of increase again, but from a community marketing standpoint, we're well under budget. You know, any of our billboard advertising, tour and rec events, things like that. So this is the first month that we did show an operating surplus, which is usual because you have a lot of expenses in the first quarter, and then you're kind of playing catch up. So we are showing for the first time a positive of $37,160.30. So. And then it was about the same amount of time last year when it took us to go from negative into positive. Any questions about the financials?
So on those, can you supply us the groups that have not been paid, that haven't claimed their grant money yet sometime?
Yes,
Get
yes.
it out, so.
Absolutely.
I
And
like,
it looks like there's quite a bit, other than the aid to organization, it looks like there's quite a bit in the outdoor rec and the capital
mhm.
improvement one. So
Well, I
I'll
think
get
they've
that
been,
list.
yeah, that'd be great.
It's been busy at work.
Yes, they've been wanting it.
All right, item 5, discussion and for possible action, approval to pay, bill to Bath Lumber.
And I need to disclose that I have a small interest in Bath Lumber, so I'll be abstaining, for the record.
What are we gonna yell at?
Well, let's,
Well, I can second it, right?
yeah, so we'll approve the one without the Bath Lumber bill. So let's approve that one first, and everybody can go ahead and do it. So it's the bills minus Bath Lumber, so you can go ahead and vote on that one, and then James will advise on what to do
Yeah,
with the
so-
Bath Lumber one.
It just, since we're on that topic, an abstention reduces the quorum, but it reduces the quorum for the entire board, so it's from 5 to 4, still needs a majority of 3, so the Bath Lumber we can't do.
So it can be approved next month and just sent out now.
Yeah.
So add to Judy to,
So I'll make the motion to approve the bills minus the Bath Lumber. Is that right?
yeah.
Yep.
And you give the check
Totally.
numbers. Maybe the vote
Oh, boy.
on the top left.
On the top left, and so we've got checks 24315 through 24357. Minus the Bath Lumber is 125,660.81.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, that's approved. Okay, item 6, update on progress with most recent strategic plan.
All right, so you guys should have that in your packet, and this was kind of more of just kind of getting the ball rolling, because usually about January is when we go through our strategic planning, or at least we did last year. So what I wanted to do since we had,
Talking. I'm gonna grab some.
okay, what was for you?
Let's just wait.
Okay, cool.
So is there, just as a technical question, this is the final though?
This is the final. I printed out the wrong one that says draft, but this is the one that was adopted, so this is what's up on our website and everything like that.
Okay.
So again, this was just kind of to bring this back to the attention. I mean, I know we've been chipping away at this, and you know we've been working towards these goals and everything like that. But it's good to kind of come back to them and see what we've been working on this last year, and get the ball rolling for what we want to get into the next year's strategic plan. So I'll kind of go through this briefly because we don't need to be too long-winded, but you certainly can like read it more and more in depth. But the priorities were visitation and destination awareness, so to grow overall awareness of what the area has to offer to both locals and visitors, and to grow the economy through tourism. And I feel like, you know, some of the outreach we've done locally, especially with the mailers and things like that, have focused on the locals, you know, trying to do more outreach with the frontline staff so that they're more aware of what's going on. And then you've kind of seen through the marketing reports how we've grown our markets, and it's directly related to more room tax and more occupancy. The second one is to increase room night growth with a focus on target markets of Southern Nevada, California, Utah, Arizona, and Idaho. And you can look at our social media and kind of see that Southern Nevada and actually Arizona is probably our second biggest state from activity. You would think that, at least on social media, you know, Salt Lake City or Utah would be pretty big, or possibly Idaho. Idaho, I feel like, doesn't even know we exist. We get no love from Idaho.
Just, I don't know if it has anything to do with anything, but just at our church, I seem to get a lot of travelers from Washington and Oregon.
Really?
And so maybe that'd be a place to do some trial, like we have sun here.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think that's why we got so much play from Arizona, because when we were marketing to Las Vegas, it's just cooler up here, you know, it's.
It's sunny down here.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and I think we get a lot of those snowbirds between Arizona and Idaho, so, you know, that's gotta feel like, you know, our targets have been right in there. Increasing Bristlecone Convention Center usage and revenues, we were up 40% last year when we finished out our fiscal year from what our projections were. So because our prices haven't changed, that's a 40% more events that we were having here. And you know, with the facilities guide and the facilities improvements, we're looking at doing more of that. And then this is the big one, because pretty much it directs the way we want to spend our budget. And so that's focusing on increasing visitors and overnight stays through community improvements and creating year-round activities and attractions. And again, I'd say that's probably the most satisfying part of the job is working with the community so that they can accomplish their goals through the resources of room tax. So what I would ask of you guys to do is just, again, go through this and kind of familiarize yourself with it and start thinking of different ways that we can take this to next level for our next years, you know. And again, I believe last year we did it in January, and so we want to get through the holiday season and kind of start the ball rolling to see kind of where we want to direct our attention for the next year. So, you know, again, we could go through all of these specifically. It would take a little bit of time, but I would say if anybody in the audience wants to see the strategic plan, we've got copies available, and we're certainly open to suggestions. So, I believe this helps when anybody in the community asks, what is tourism doing? Like, what is that money going towards? This is a great document to show them. So, any questions? Don't do it.
Oh, we got Nicole grab that.
After that.
So any questions on this one?
So you plan on the January meeting?
I do. I'd like to go ahead and put that on the agenda for the January meeting.
So what if we did some type of a workshop or something like that, so that there's real discussion, and that you bring what you think, and is that what you're envisioning, is everybody could get their 2 cents, or?
Could we do a workshop prior to the January meeting?
We could, we would just need to agendize it as a workshop to revise strategic plan and make suggestions to the board.
Okay. Is it something that we would open up to the community as a community strategic planning, or is it
Certainly
something that?
can.
Yes.
That's up to the board,
That's a good idea.
how you want to do
And
it.
it's such a good comment that Ian made as far as what he's seeing at church. We,
Right.
you know, if anybody's interested, we can get better input, I think,
Yeah.
or more complete, so, just a thought.
Yeah, no, I like that. If the board's cool with it, I mean, I think, you know, it's one of those things, we're open to all suggestions. We can decide what we want to do with it, but I think hearing, you know, you're gonna get perspective that you just didn't know about before.
Well, just for the California and Utah, it seems like that should be it, but I don't see us getting that pull except for the horse races
Right.
for Utah. So it's, that is a specialized thing, and maybe putting in different states then.
Well, in Utah's where we get all of our mountain bikers from,
Okay.
you know, and so there
California,
are
yeah.
certain, it's
Pockets.
specialized segments, I think that's a good way of putting it, you know, that come from different, but, you know, in regards to a state that, you know, I see as like too far away for people to consider as an option, Arizona really has kind of brought it, kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, there are a possibility.
Mhm.
And to kind of piggyback on what Ian was saying, we see a lot of people in the district attorney's office for a far different reason, but we see a lot of people coming from Washington and Oregon as well, so people are coming through.
Mhm. Well, you could look at the speeding ticket base.
Oh, that's true. That would be a good idea.
We'll gather data
Traffic
anywhere we can.
violations.
You wanna sit in my house, front room and watch the cars go by?
Not at
Maybe pick
25
that up, see if
either.
that is Brian.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Is that Brian?
Good afternoon, Tour and Rec.
Yeah, hey, this is Brian.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
it is you.
Good.
We can
Okay.
vote on that.
You're live on the air.
All right.
Watch your language.
Can we go back, Madam Chair, when we get through this item, and go back and pick up that one now that we?
The bath lumber one.
Yeah.
Oh, can we, let's do
Yeah, we
that.
certainly
Well,
can.
let's finish this first.
So Brian, we were going over the strategic plan that was adopted almost a year ago and kind of going over what we've accomplished in regards to that. But essentially it was inviting the board to start thinking about what next year's strategic plan is gonna look like. We're gonna schedule that for the January meeting.
Okay.
And we're gonna do a workshop that's gonna be open to our tourism partners to come in and brainstorm with us prior to that meeting in January to kind of come up with different ideas or different perspectives so that the meeting can just kind of be a little bit more streamlined.
Okay.
So January, there'll be 2 meetings that we'll have. It'll be in regards to the strategic plan and just kind of coming up with what the 2020 plan looks like.
Perfect.
All right, you've been caught up.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to redirect everyone to item 5, discussion and for possible action, approval to pay, bill for back lumber.
And Madam Chair, I'd like to, I don't think I've seen, I have a small interest in that lumber that I would like to disclose.
Oh, there it is, okay. I will make the motion that we pay the Bath lumber bill, specifically check number 24338 for $334.59.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. It's passed, thank you. Okay, back to the regular agenda. Item number 7, discussion only, recap of recent public art meeting.
All right, and so we were able to do a line item of $15,000 dedicated towards public art in this last year's budget, and with the intention that we were going to spend a portion of that to refurbish the murals and the public art assets that we have to keep those fresh and nice, and we've certainly been doing it. But we also wanted to expand our public art assets as well. And kind of my rationale, you know, behind that is, and I'm sorry, Caroline, you're gonna hear me say it probably a million more times, you know, Ely was the first town to use public art as an economic development tool. Well before Reno, well before downtown Vegas, before Carson City started doing it, before Elko had their mural festival, you know, that mural project that was done was in direct relation to saving the community and using art as an ability, you know, for pride and economic development and sharing the stories and everything. But since then, the rest of the state has kind of pushed that bar further down the road, you know? And so what we need to do is we need to continue kind of,
Step it up.
you know, we need to continue to stay relevant, you know, is what, but, you know, I've never been one with public art is more of a democratic process, you know, you have to have public charrettes, you've gotta get the public opinion, because this is really a representation of what the community wants to say and how they wanna say it, whether it be relating to their past, relating to things that the community's facing currently, or whether they're looking at, you know, the future that they want to give to the next generation of White Pine County citizens. So we held a meeting last Tuesday. It was poorly attended from what I was hoping for, but at least there was a lot of quality there in the people who did show up and the ideas that they had. I'm going to be going around to all the different groups. I've already got on the PEO agenda. It will come up with Rotary. I'm just kind of pretty much looking forward to going around and talking to all the different groups going in front of the county commission, the city council, and kind of throwing it out there. So there was a lot of ideas that still need some flushing out. And so from a large scale mural standpoint, I think we've got a little bit of time to do our due diligence on really what we want to do. But in the meantime, one of the things that came out was small little bangers. Okay, so smaller art pieces that are interactive. So you're not talking about taking over an entire wall. What you're doing is you're talking about taking a corner of a wall and painting an image that would be of the perspective that the viewer could actually interact with it. And the one that I'm thinking of would be, you know, the side view of a player piano, or an old Western piano. Maybe there's a lady sitting on the top of it or something like that, and you actually bolt a piano bench to the side of the wall, so that people, once they see it, they can sit down, they can pretend they're playing, they can lean up against the piano to talk to the lady, but the whole time, they're taking pictures and they're posting, and so it has a marketing value to it. But in all honesty, like, if we accomplish one thing with our art in downtown, it should be to make people smile and to lighten their day just a little bit, you know. So the interactive aspect of it should be a point where when they sit down and they do their thing and they get up, it's memorable, it makes them feel better. It is significant to the community, an old Western player piano with like a fancy lady on top of it, or, you know, whatever we decide to do, but putting them in the corners, on the alleyways, you know, and marketing it as kind of more of a scavenger hunt. So when people come in, they've got to find these interactive murals.
Selfie station.
But then it also,
With hashtags.
exactly, but then it also guides them through the downtown, so they're seeing the big wall murals too. You know, and so what's happening is you're just creating more of an engagement in the downtown and promoting walking around the foot traffic. And so I think this is something that we could pursue kind of more on the immediate, to say that, hey, you know, look, we're pursuing public art, things are happening, we're moving forward, while we're still able to have the conversations with the groups and the communities to see what the larger public art is. And so murals obviously was what we came up with, but there was certainly a desire to continue the sculpture assets in town, and everybody liked the whole rusty metal and used mine equipment. Projection mapping is something that I'm really interested in, and that's where you do video projections onto the sides of buildings, and you actually make the building look like it comes alive. It's amazing. They've done it on castles in Europe and Buckingham Palace and stuff like that, but they're based out of Vegas and San Francisco, and we're surrounded by this technology. It's Burning Man, it's, you know, so doing some more stuff like that, and of course, like working, somebody said working with Bardee X Ranch, you know, with their antler art and stuff like that, and trying to get some stuff down. But in regards to locations, there was a big push of, you know, really making Fire and Ice a winter arts festival and incorporating as much arts into it as possible. Alleyways, creating a monthly downtown mural wine walk, you know, in the summertime to try to get more foot traffic down there. The Armory, the middle school. And then we were looking at other communities too, and I think McGill really would be somewhere where we should put some resources in regards to public art, because it can, you know, foster community pride, it combats vandalism, you know, and there's such pride and history there to begin with. I'd really like to see McGill be considered. And so I'll go to their town council meeting. And then of course, 11th Avenue. and going down to the train, you know, our second downtown, essentially. And so that white building above Tiffany Sweatage's place. And then I don't know who has the smokestack near the railroad.
Oh, that is barbed wire Bob.
Okay. I guess I'll just leave it at that. If you got the name Barbed Wire Bob, you're probably not too receptive
Sounds
to.
like we need to take this.
Oh, no, he's quite the character.
Is he?
Yes, in fact,
Taking no lunch, man.
I
He doesn't live here.
Oh.
met with him recently. He wants to do something with the smokestack.
I would love to.
All right, I have his contact
Okay.
information, I'll forward it on
Cool.
to you.
So just to give an idea of what we're talking about here, the line item in the budget's for $15,000. We've spent in the refurbishing of the Fourth of July mural on the museum and the United by Our Children, we've spent a little over $5,000 on those. So we've got about 9.5, I would say, you know, to go ahead and play with. And that's a pretty good budget for a big wall mural. That's a really good budget for doing smaller little bangers and stuff like that. So
The interactive.
the interactive stuff. And so